My name's Chris Wedge. I'm an animator and filmmaker and a founder of Blue Sky Studios, 31 years into it. And I'm still with Blue Sky. You know, when you're inside the movie, when you're inside a project, you always feel the same. You're always just trying to figure out how to make something. You're always just trying to either, well, come up with an idea in the first place and what's worth investing your time in, or you're in the middle of that idea trying to figure out how to get it out the best. It really is, on a certain level, it's a very solitary exercise. Sure, you've got a lot of collaborators around you once things are going, but you always feel like, you know, am I doing this right? Is this story good enough? Is this character interesting enough? Like, where can I go to find the ideas that are going to make this unique and impactful? And I know that's a lot of like boilerplate sounding stuff, but you're always just like, is this worth it? Is this just how do I get it there? So you really don't look at what is behind you. You really don't. I think probably the experience of being in the situation enough helps tune like where your attitude should be. But believe me, yesterday's news is yesterday's news, and nobody even thinks about it anymore. So it doesn't help you moving forward at all that you've done things before this. It's always you're in the middle of it trying to figure it out. What inspires me about making animation is that we're at a moment where the technology is becoming a thinner veil. You know, when we started, animation's always been a technical art form. You know, it's always been a very indirect way to get a performance out of your heart and mind onto the screen and into the audience hearts and minds. It's always been, you know, you didn't have animation until we had technology, you know, movie cameras and stuff to move around in front of them. And when computer animation started, you were even further away from the art. You weren't drawing anymore. You weren't moving models. You were typing commands to make things move. And a lot of frankly, a lot of the fascination was like, how could you pump stuff through that thick fog of technology and get something on the other side? So all that's getting more and more immediate. And now it's almost as if, you know, we can touch the models and we can see things moving more in real time, and we can perform with a lot more finesse. And so what keeps me going is you know, how much more articulation are we going to be able to get, not only in the way things move, but in the ideas we can push through a character. How much can we believe that it's thinking and living, and how much can we believe it's like me? And as much as I like, you know, really broad, cartoony, clicky animation, you know, I still want you to feel there's a depth of just experience and just kind of conscious intent inside that character, and one that you couldn't experience any other way except for through this technology, through animation. The place where you feel the pressure, the creative pressure, is moving further and further into you as a character. You know, before it was like, okay, you were much more in your head before with animation. Oh, I got to figure this out. I got to do that. I know I'm getting good at doing this. I can and I'll get that at the end. But you know, now your preoccupation with how you're going to get it done is kind of dissolving, and now it's just more up to you to get to a story that's gonna be impactful without the gloss of people going, oh wow, oh my gosh, how did they do that? People just don't do that. People don't go to the movies and say, how did they make that gorilla fly? You know, how they make him, how did they make that gorilla look so much like a human and talk? You know, people just don't think about it. They're thinking about the performance. They expect to be convinced by it. So it's just making, I think, most of us feel more like, I guess, writers. A writer can write something, and they're done. I mean, hopefully it's a good thing. If it's a good book, it's done. You did it. You don't have to worry about if it's going to rain the day you want to shoot that scene in the sun. You don't have to worry about arguing with an idea with a producer or anybody else. It's just, there's no compromise. It was all up to you. And that's now how it feels more and more that the technology is less of an issue. Well, everything's different. I mean, you're always reading and looking for things that resonate with you and resonate not just on your own experience of either that book or that piece of artwork or a script, but also on the level of what excites you visually, like what excites your imagination about the potential of what that could look like on the screen, how that works as a movie story, how it works as a visual story. And then once you're inside a movie or a project or a script or an idea, anything can inspire you. I mean, research is a huge part of coming up with any idea. And sometimes I find I'll have an idea, I'll just be carrying it around with me. I'll go on a trip, on a vacation, or I'll hear a talk, or I'll see a movie, or I'll read a book, or I'll have a conversation with somebody. And just peripheral ideas start to pop up, and sometimes they amplify your idea thematically, or just from a feeling perspective, or or there's some details in a character, or a line of dialogue. I think you start to resonate if you're in a good space, in a good zone with something. You start to resonate just on the frequency of that project, and then things you just kind of filter the world for it. I think that's where the inspiration is. I think things that can serve anybody well are failure. I think failure is the best. Just because it just makes you realize that things don't come automatically, that success doesn't come automatically, that there's just a lot of work that builds up to anything successful. And certainly we've had success at Blue Sky. I've had disappointments too. And I think you've got to stay grounded. You've got to stay grounded. I mean, that's what you need. Feet on the ground. Head in the clouds, feet on the ground. The best advice I can think of, because nobody has a crystal ball, there's so much more momentum and interest and awareness and knowledge about animation than there was when we started Blue Sky. There were no schools when we started Blue Sky. We had to train everybody that started with us. And now all these people are coming out and looking for jobs and thinking about, they have these tools. It's just becoming, part of the vernacular. The advice I would say is that you have your lofty goals. You have the things you want to make. You might have your, heroes and role models. You might have your films that you want to make things like, filmmakers you want to be like. And you might have your own little project that you're writing. But the sanest thing to do is take advantage of whatever opportunity is in front of you. Whatever somebody says, hey, you want to do this? Do it. Just do it. Make friends with everybody you meet along the way, because those are the people you're going to know in your career. Don't think like, oh, I'm so much better than they are when I'm in film school and I'll never talk to them. Interact with everybody, because they're your crew. They're going to be all the people that you meet. You're going to look back and you're going to say, you're going to want to do something, and it's not going to be the people in the magazines that you read about that are going to be helping you with this. It's going to be your friends and the people that you met along the way, the people that you know. And this opportunity might not be the job of your dreams. We did plenty of laxative commercials at Blue Sky, but it helped us develop technology. There was always a moment in the middle of any project we did that we got kind of excited about it. Like, wow, look at how this shadow falls. That really looks like a real laxative pill. take advantage of every opportunity that somebody gives you, because that's what your success is going to be built on. All of that experience. It's not going to be, nobody's going to come give you $1 million because your idea is a good one. Actually, you've helped me think about this a little bit. I think the track that I'm talking in is Then and Now. And so I'm talking about what we were going through when we started Blue Sky and what the world was like back then. I think that, there are going to be people in the audience that weren't born when we started the company. The images that we made, to them, are going to seem like images that I saw of like Hollywood's golden era, in the middle of the last century when I was growing up. But I think, what I'd like to impress on people is that you never stop thinking a certain way. The scenery changes, but you just keep working with what you've got and moving forward. So what I'm going to be talking about is, what we did, a lot of the history that I think some people are familiar with, but also just the perspective that was inside it the whole time and where we think we're going now. I'd be born with about, I don't know, $250 million. That's about all I'd do. I mean, look, more advice to your people that are trying to start careers. You're going to have moments when you look back on them where huge turning points. You don't know it when you're in it. This feels important, but you don't know how big it's going to be. You just don't know. When I look back, would I have done this different or that different? Of course, but I don't really think. Look, it's not an option. So I can't tell you what would have happened. I might have made that corner and smashed into a brick wall. I don't know.